Yesterday was one of the most emotionally charged days. If you were in a WhatsApp group, I'm sure you got the voice notes, I'm sure you got the pictures, I'm sure you got the videos of the incidents with the stabbings. I'm sure if you were on Facebook, you saw the rant after rant, the status after status talking about maybe the police are to blame, maybe it's the parents, maybe it's the teachers. I even had a rant myself, and I talked about how really at the core of it, I believe parents are responsible for a lot of the wrongs we're seeing in our youth. I stand by that. But I think whenever we give rants or whenever we go on an emotional tirade about what is wrong, we have to combat it by giving something that is right, by giving people tangible things to do, solutions. And so that's the reason for this video today, because I wanted to talk to parents about some things they can begin doing differently to make sure they don't lose their child. And so what can parents begin to do that can actually change the life course from a lot of their kids? Well, I'll tell you. One of the first things that a parent can implement right now is to stop being so lazy. Stop being lazy. You can't be a lazy parent because there's just so much going on in the world today. If you think that you can just tell your kid to come home at a certain time, if you can tell your kid to just stop watching porn or stop bullying that kid or to get better grades and that be it, you're wrong, because that child will not change. Parents, you have to become more educated. What's going on in today's world? What kind of music are my kids listening to? What's some of the popular words that they are using? Issues that they're dealing with in school? There's a reason why PTA meetings are so empty, because parents are just not that involved. And so if you're not involved, why is it that you're there to reprimand? You weren't there to instill the values, but you're there to discipline? That used to work maybe 20 years ago, but we live in the age of knowledge now. And you gotta understand that if kids want to know something, they don't have to come to you, parents. They can go to a friend. They can go to Siri. This same little thing right here is the most powerful tool we have as people right now, because we literally have the world at our fingertips. And so parents, stop being lazy. That's the first thing you can begin doing. The second thing I think parents need to become aware of is that the village is no longer morally dependable. It still takes a village to raise a child, but when the village itself loses its morals, you can no longer trust the village. There was a time when you can trust your kids to go down to that person's house and you didn't have to worry because you knew that parent had the same kind of thinking that you did. But nowadays you can't do that. You can't just allow your child to go by any and every one, because you don't know what that family is about. You don't know what kind of things that mommy is into, that daddy is into. You can't trust the village in that respect anymore. You can't trust the old man that runs the shop anymore, because you don't know what he's into. There would have been a time when a kid would have been reprimanded by someone else who felt the same as the parent. But nowadays, you just can't trust it. And so I'm not saying you can't trust people, but parents, you have to begin instilling values in your children so that the value can be the moral compass that determines what they do. Instilling values means no matter what the situation is, the value will determine my action. A lot of parenting today is reactionary. I'm going to spank you when you do wrong. I'm going to take away your things when you do wrong. But what about the time in between your child doing nothing and getting wrong? What are you doing? You can't think that you don't have to parent because there's no problems. Life is such a complex thing. Your children are always learning. They're always wondering. They have questions. But if they can't come to you because you're not available, or because they think that you don't want to hear what they have to say, they're going to go to other people. This last one is more so directed to the young boys without fathers, okay? It's not your fault that the father turned out to be a dog or just this uninvolved parent. I understand that. But it is still your responsibility as that child's mother to make sure that that young man has a male role model in his life. I don't care if you have to go to the church. I don't care if you have to come and see me. You need to find someone, somewhere, so that this boy can see what it is like to be a man. A woman can't teach a boy to be a man. We need to do away with this whole saying, oh, I was his mommy and his daddy. No, you weren't. You were his mommy trying to be his daddy. I know a lot of people may get upset at that, because a lot of people, a lot of mothers do try to make up for what the father isn't doing, but you simply can't do it. And so because you can't do it, you can't take on that responsibility. You can't take on that role. And so you have to find another way to get that young man the help and the influence that he needs. I know it's hard. I know it's difficult. I know there's not a lot of people you can trust. But understanding all of those things, you got to make sure that you do whatever it takes to get that thing right. Okay? So whether you have to call someone, whether you have to do some research, whether you have to reach out to the local people in your church, Those are things that you have to do to make sure that your son gets the influence and the help that he needs. There you have it. Take it for what it is. If you choose to get information and you choose to reject knowledge, then the responsibility does fall on you. It's just one opinion that I have. You don't have to follow it. But I say these things from a place of love and care and concern because I deal with a lot of young men every day. I deal with a lot of disadvantaged students every day. I know what it's like. I know what they are going through. They talk to me. So parents, I urge you all to, listen to the things said in this video. If you're someone who isn't a parent watching this video, like it and share it so a parent can get this information, because you just never know who's going to be watching. All right? Love y'all. Take care.